Hey, we're live, pal.
We are live, and thank you for joining us. Yes,
Very live.
so live. We are super live right now as UFC Vegas 39 has come to an end. Huge win for Marina Rodriguez, who got it done. And I know what a lot of people are thinking. These three dweebs sat there and they didn't give Marina Rodriguez a chance. They hyped that hype train, Mackenzie Dern, over the hills. Unbelievable.
Don't
true.
feed the trolls.
I'm feeding them.
I'm pretty sure I picked Marina to win.
You did. I think we all said that Marina was the better fighter, but if Mackenzie got it to the ground, it was going to be over shortly after. And Mackenzie does get it to the ground in the second round, and Marina is in all sorts of trouble, and somehow she survives. She gets out of the round. Things were looking pretty bad, and then she bounces back and wins the next three rather convincingly. So great performance for Marina Rodriguez. I am Mike Heck. Jose Youngs is here. AK is here. UFC Vegas 39 post-fight show here on MMAfighting.com. AK, let us begin with you. Your thoughts, just, 10, 15 minutes or so after Marina Rodriguez's biggest win of her career.
She looked great. She's a contender. She's a legitimate contender. I mean, I think after that performance, you can tell, I don't know if I want to say there's a big four at Strawweight right now, but you could not tell me that she wouldn't have a competitive fight against Rose Namajunas, Zhang Weili, or Joanna Jędrzejczyk. She has shown nothing but how poised she is, how talented she is. Again, facing more hyped fighters than herself. She's come out on top. This is probably the biggest case of that. Obviously, this was very much the Mackenzie Dern show, as evidenced by our man, John Anik, possibly getting a little mixed up in his mind there. And at the end of the first round, going like, a great first round for the challenger. And he seemed to be referring to Marina Rodriguez. He immediately clarified after the commercial break he meant, underdog. But that's how much Mackenzie Dern was the A side of this fight. Is that switch in his head went off to immediately say challenger, like as if she was already a champion. But it is Marina Rodriguez who looks like she could be a future champion, at least more so than Mackenzie Dern tonight. Not that Mackenzie Dern can't, but clearly Rodriguez is a step above. Mike, you and I picked the wrong winner, but I think all three of us agreed how it would play out for the most part. At least I know I did in my predictions. I said if Dern wins, she gets it down first two rounds and submits her. She got her down, didn't get the finish, and then I said the last two rounds are going to be a real. Just not able to. Just has to find a way to get in there and get takedowns. She's got to find that's the next level of her game. Yes, she has to improve the striking a lot, but even before that, she's got to get some really strengthening that wrestling, because if she can still take people down, then that's that closes the striking gap a lot. Then the striking will come last. Right now, she doesn't even have the wrestling yet to get the fight to her strongest area. So a lot of areas that need filled, but it's not about Mackenzie Dern tonight. It is about Marina Rodriguez. Great performance, and she looks like a real contender.
Yep. Big second round for Mackenzie. It was a very close. I think it was the fourth round. If there's probably another 10 or 15 seconds, don't know if Marina would have survived that. I mean, it was very close. Mackenzie was about to rip off that arm, but doesn't matter. That was then. There is no 10 or 15 extra seconds. There's only 5 minutes per round, and Marina Rodriguez won 4 minutes and 50 seconds of that round. So clear 10-9, clear victory. She's the better fighter. She moves on to bigger and better. Jose, do you feel vindicated? You picked Marina, but did anything really surprise you in this fight at all?
Not really. In terms nothing surprised me what they brought to the table. It was the surprising lack of Mackenzie's ability to get the fight to the canvas. I remember when Chrome Gracie fought Cub Swanson, everyone was like, "Oh, Chrome Gracie, if this fight gets to the canvas, that's a wrap." But it's a matter of can he get it to the canvas, because Cub Swanson is such an elite all-around fighter, and Cub Swanson is a much more well-rounded fighter than Marina Rodriguez. And obviously, we saw Chrome Gracie. That was like the big thing. He couldn't get the fight to the canvas. Mackenzie Dern, at times, got the fight to the canvas, but it felt like it was always Marina made a mistake and Mackenzie capitalized on it rather than implementing any sort of wrestling game to get the fight down and then implement her jiu-jitsu. And I remember that was a big knock on Damian Maia for a while. He was such a good jiu-jitsu practitioner, such a good jiu-jitsu player, but he couldn't get there. He couldn't get to the ground. Like we saw it against Anderson. He just tried and he couldn't. And then even he said in a few interviews that he actually took time to basically learn amateur wrestling. Like not full on wrestling, but like setups and takedowns and how to just shoot for these double legs to get it to the canvas. Like we saw it against like Carlos Condit where he just got to the canvas. That was a wrap. And I think Mackenzie Dern, her striking's obviously with Jason Perillo is always, it's not going to be on point, but it's always going to be there. She can learn the fundamentals. She can learn how to block. She can learn how to throw jabs and overhands and all this stuff. Her jiu-jitsu is always going to be there. She needs to learn offensive wrestling, how to get the fight to the canvas in order to implement her jiu-jitsu, or at least how to use her striking to set up any sort of judo type hip tosses or throws. Rose Namajunas does a very good job of that. Michelle Watterson has a very good hip toss too. So it was the lack of offensive wrestling for Mackenzie that surprised me, especially because we all said if the fight gets the canvas, that's a wrap. But she couldn't even get there. And then when she did, Marina did a decent enough job at defending. I feel like the clock saved her a few times, which is why like if Mackenzie can get the fight down to the canvas earlier in the round, she's going to have a much more she's going to get path to the victory easier is what I'm trying to say, if she can get it earlier in the round.
That was almost one of the greatest submissions of all time too, because Mackenzie Dern almost locked in an arm bar with her legs, which was just so sick. It was so sick, but Marina did a great job. She did just enough to not get finished. She took a beating. I scored it a 10-8 round. I understand if you didn't score it a 10-8 round. I know there's a lot of like judging snobs out there who were like, read the rules, bro, read the rules. But I thought it was just a dominant, decisive round, and it wasn't just the grappling and jiu-jitsu. I thought Mackenzie put it on Marina too with the strikes. Especially when she was in mount and landed those right hands, she busted her up. I had no problem scoring it a 10-8. If you didn't score it a 10-8, that's fine. No problem. It was still a clear win. I scored it 48-46 for Marina Rodriguez. She moves on. And it seems like I don't feel like Carla Esparza, like I don't think it's fair to Carla to give her Marina. But I think we have to. I think the fan and all of us of high-level martial arts competition, Jose, we got to do Marina Rodriguez versus Joanna and Jacek now, right? Like, this is the fight. Well, she should go to the press conference right now and call it Joanna, right now.
I tweeted out some matches that we need to make. I'm going to pull them up. These are the fights that I would make. If I was Sean Shelby or McNair, I'm not quite sure which one is the matchmaker for the strawweight division, but I have Rose, the winner of Rose Whaley versus Carla Esparza, Joanna versus Marina, Mackenzie Dern versus Claudia Gadelha, and Yan Xiaonan versus Michelle Watterson. Those are the fights that I would make. At least those are some fresh matchups and stuff like that. But obviously, the strawweight division is very stacked. It's one of the more deeper divisions in all of MMA, not just women's MMA. But those are the ones off the top of my head that I would like to see. I don't think Carla's already beaten Marina. She's in the same situation as Alexander Ratchik is, where he already beat Anthony Smith, and he's already could have a title shot. But then like Yuri's right there. And I feel like that Izzy Jan fight that happened, basically the Rose Whaley thing, it just kind of put a pause on the division. And now that it's catching up, Ratchik is kind of like, what do I do? Do I wait or do I fight the guy that I just beat? And a lot of people weren't like, as Daniel Cormier said, that was like the worst fight in the history of MMA or something like that. Was it that fight or was it the Thiago Santos fight? I can't quite remember, but I remember Daniel Cormier was very critical on an Alexander Ratchik fight as of recently. So Carla won fair and square. I think she should fight. She doesn't have to do. She also has a win over Rose. So if Rose wins, that's just the fight to make. And then if Whaley wins, obviously you have the Joanna rematch or the rubber match with Rose, and that's a whole nother conversation we can have after that fight happens. But no, Carla deserves a title shot. Marina versus Joanna has to happen.
Yeah. What kills me? What kills me about like the idea that we have to do the Carla Esparza Marina Rodriguez rematch anytime soon is that's a rematch that like that exists. You can always do that one in the future. You know what I mean? Like that's a one. If you're confident that Marina Rodriguez is a world title contender, okay, so you do the Joanna fight, that's fine, and then if Carla can wait, if she can afford to wait, please do Carla Esparza. Wait for your title fight, and then if she loses that, then you can do the Rodriguez rematch later, and then Rodriguez can, if she redeems, gets that win back, that propels her into a title. Like there's so many ways to do to lead to that rematch with her and Carla. It just doesn't need to happen next. I don't know what the urge is to have it happen next, other than if Carla needs to fight, that's who she has to fight to keep her spot in the rankings, which sucks, but that is who she would have to fight. But again, if she can wait, which she should, then again, you can do it somewhere down the road. So that's the only thing that I really, really don't like about them. I definitely want to see Carla Esparza and Marina Rodriguez fight again, just not anytime soon. I just don't think it's fair to Carla.
Agreed. So there you go. And then Mackenzie Dern, she'll be back. She'll face somebody else in the top 10, and we'll see what happens. Hopefully she can improve a little bit on some of the things that she just didn't have tonight, like getting inside, being able to work those clinches to her advantage, land some strikes that aren't like just completely charging and sloppy. And I thought Jason Perillo did a tremendous job in the corner, just saying the right things. But I think that second round was a little demotivating. Like very rarely does Mackenzie Dern take somebody down, mount their opponent, and just have that kind of position for all that time and not come away with the finish. Like that must have been a little bit demoralizing. So kudos to Marina Rodriguez. We got bonuses.
Should we guess? I haven't seen them.
We should guess. Don't look. Don't be cheating.
Jose? Okay. Mm-hmm.
There is a fight of the night.
Okay, I would go.
People couldn't even hear me. My microphone got unplugged again, so I'm gonna say it again.
That's so weird. How come we can hear you and they? Oh, it's different. Like it's plugged into a different.
It's just my microphone got unplugged. Sorry, guys.
Go ahead.
So I'm gonna say Marina, the main event. Marina Mackenzie would be my pick for fight of the night. And then just process of elimination. I would say Maria Agapova over Sabina Mazo, because that finish was just all kinds of bananas. Like knocked her out and submitted her. The Romanov finish was violent, but I don't think it was like an epic finish. So probably Lupita and Steve Garcia just by process of elimination.
This is not what I think will happen. This is what I would do if I had like complete control over the situation. I am one of those people who thinks like you should give. I wish they gave more performance bonuses for like I hate how if you win a decision, you're automatically like you can't win a performance bonus. Like that's so silly to me. Like I think sometimes some performances are like 5-round performances are so strong. It's like why is that not like the best performance of the night? So I would actually go and I actually really like the main event, but I would give just the performance bonus to Marina, and then I would go definitely the other performance bonus to Agapova. And I really liked Damon Jackson, Charles Rosa, so I'd throw them a little maybe a little fight of the night for that gruesomely so bloody affair.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah. So there you go. So I know that's not what they're gonna do, but that's how I would go with it.
Yeah, main event gets fight of the night. Lupi and Agapova get performance bonuses.
There you go.
Which is hilarious because Lupi's the big. And listen, Lupi, great performance. Hats off to her. Biggest favorite on the card. And very rarely does the biggest favorite on the card get a bonus. Like poor Alex Hernandez just highlight reels Mike Breeden last week as the biggest favorite on the card and doesn't get a bonus. Yep. And Lupi gets a bonus. I'm happy for her. She deserves to get a bonus.
Yeah, but sure.
It's just funny how like they look at it from a week to week basis. It's hilarious.
She's representing BC as well as Mexico, so yes. I have a lot of love for Lupi.
Yeah, Lupi's a tough out. She's going to be a tough out with full training camps, that's for sure. And I think that this fight, at least for her, like I know the opponent was different, but I think in terms of like actual fight camps, this was the longest fight camp of her career by far. Like not even close. Most of her fights are on like less than a month's notice. This one, she had some time to get ready for it, and she's a problem, man. She's a problem. So good for her. Agapova, you knew she was getting a bonus, and then she's cutting skeet promos. You got to make the Marina Moroz fight at this point.
That is the fight to make.
Yeah.
I mean, I had that. I knew I didn't because I think we all said. I'm making sure my microphone's in. I think we all said Sabina had the brighter future between these two, and I thought I can't remember what you guys picked. I thought Sabina, this was her fight to lose. Like I even tweeted
I said Agapova has the better future, but I thought she would lose.
Okay. I thought Sabina had the brighter future and was going to win this fight. And I tweeted, like, man, did Maria Agapova prove me wrong. And like, I just think the Shayna Dobson fight was just fresh in my mind and all the stuff that happened between then and now. And stuff. Yeah. So I think a lot of people were tweeting about that. But, man, that fight was bananas. And I had I remember saying all this. I'm like, well, if Maria wins, they'll just make the Marina Moroz fight, but that's irrelevant because she's not going to win. So she proved me wrong completely. Like, good on you, Maria Agapova.
Yeah. Great performance. Very violent performance. That knockout into the submission was insane.
Yeah, it was knocked her out and submitted her all in like one fell swoop.
It was crazy. Great performance. What a bounce back. I think her stock probably rose more than anybody's. And I think what I said was, I think like skill wise, I think Mazzo had the better upside. But I thought like from a star power perspective, Agapova had the higher ceiling. And now it looks like Agapova's got all those boxes checked off right now. So good win for her.
By the way, as our pal Sean Al-Shadi just tweeted, Marina Rodriguez, I guess, is at post-fight or doing an interview or maybe on ESPN, said, "I really think that Carla was the one who should have been getting the title fight now and not Wei Li. I would much prefer to let her go fight for a title, maybe get that belt, and then we can do the rematch for the belt." So Marina Rodriguez is just hitting on all cylinders here. She's hitting on all cylinders.
I hope there's a but I want to fight you on ENJ check and punch her in the face coming.
Here's the next comment. She said, "Let's be honest. Joanna shouldn't even be ranked anymore because she's been out of action for so long." So I don't know if that's just some slander. Well, hold on. That's like some slander. I don't know if she's saying, or it's so slanderous that she's saying like she needs to fight someone else before fighting me. I don't know. But I like that kind of talk either way. I like that kind of talk.
Someone has been reading the MMA fighting global rankings and has the same criteria.
Obviously, everyone does.
As we do. For the only rankings that matter. So she gets it. She shouldn't even be in the rankings. But what a way to try to welcome her back into the rankings. I like it. So good win for her. Good win for Randy Brown, especially with the toe. And that was just a pretty crazy fight. Nicolette Elliott was a lot of fun. We talked about Agapova. Chris Gutierrez gets a split decision win. By the way, that judge was horrendous. How could you score that fight? Kolaris, that's atrocious. Romanov is just so fun. Damon Jackson bled everywhere. Lupi Godinez, unbelievable performance. And then Charlie Taveros bled everywhere, but unlike Damon Jackson, he was finished by Steve Garcia. Very gritty performance from the Jackson Wink standout. So
sorry for the guy in our pre-fight Q&A who I think the first part of his parlay was on Taveros' first round finish. So sorry, guy.
He was probably feeling pretty good.
He had like 2 knockdowns, right, in the first round?
Yeah, it was almost 3. It was almost 3. And I think for those who bet on Taveros for a first-round KO, you probably were like a Yankees fan watching Carlos Stanton hit a ball off the Green Monster in Fenway for a long single. That's
you know what we call those, Mike? Those hits?
A Stantonian.
Stantonian home run.
Oh, wow. I'm into that. You guys went the Yankees.
To the Yankee radio voice call on that play 1,000 times, and it's tremendous. What are the peeps saying? By the way, while we're pulling up peep questions, this 9-fight card, amazing. Amazing.
I feel so good.
Take notes. I feel so good. I might meet my family out for a little while to have some fun a little bit before the Wilder Fury fight.
It started at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific, and it was only 9 fights. I tweeted this. I tweeted normalized fights that are 10 cards or less. What is the, especially now if it's on, this was all on ESPN Plus, right?
Yes.
This is all on ESPN Plus, not on TV. So the length doesn't matter. It's not like I understand when they used to have this is a fight night. It's on ESPN2, ESPN. It's like, how great it is for ESPN to get 7 hours of programming, like a 7-hour block of UFC programming, like a guaranteed audience. Like that makes sense. I understand that. If it's a streaming only card, why do you care why should we as fans care whether it's 12 fights, 14 fights? You should want a little bit more of a brisk viewing, which is what this card was. I think I don't think there was a terrible fight on the card. No, I think every fight was compelling in some way. Brown Gooden was maybe a little disappointing, but I mean, given Brown's injury, I still thought it was a decent fight. I didn't think it was a bad fight. And he had an injury, so if that's your worst fight of the night, that Brown Gooden fight, you had a pretty good card. I still stand by my gymnastics system though. It's like a 7. But you know what? It was a 7.2 out of 7.2. There you go.
Nice.
Way to go. Way to go. UFC. Way to go.
Way to hit your marks. There you go.
100%.
Joseph Boza, true or false? Carla Esparza has to be the biggest winner today. Like, I don't even have to read the rest of this to say true, but I will anyways. It was clear they needed Mackenzie to win because they were going to give her the title shot. So yes, I mean, I don't know if that's necessarily true, but
I don't know if
Esparza's the
it's.
biggest winner.
I don't agree with the word clear that she was going to get the title shot with a win. I would say it would have been unsurprising if they gave Mackenzie Dern the title shot, but I just think that's because people are a little jaded on the word deserving or not. But I still think I'm still in the boat that if Mackenzie Dern had won, Carla still would have gotten the title shot. If anything, they would have made Carla versus Mackenzie for a #1 contender. I don't think Mackenzie would have skipped the queue, but it wouldn't have surprised me.
If she had gotten the submission in the second round, there's a very good chance she was going to jump the queue. But yeah, Cara Esparza's got to feel pretty good right now. She's probably having a cocktail at this point, feeling pretty good. What else we got? Scott McCrae, the UFC can't make Agapova Moroz quick enough. Looking forward to this one. Hopefully Agapova got $50K for her performance. She sure did. Well done. That was amazing. And then maybe the scariest promo ever with the smile and so nice. Like that's a scary woman. Really disappointed in Dern. She looks like she's regressed. She got the girl to the cage, and instead of grabbing her, Dern put her head down, closed her eyes, and threw loopy punches. I mean, there were points of some of that, and there were points where she landed hip throws and, landed clean entries and got takedowns. Like, she had her moments. When she listened to Jason Perillo and did what he said, it worked out. Sometimes, I mean, this is her first 5-round fights. She's still learning. She's still kind of green compared to a lot of these girls. So.
And I don't know if she's I don't think her losing to Marina Rodriguez means she's regressed. She just lost to a very good fighter.
And one of the more underrated fighters on the roster right now.
Yeah, people have to think it's how she looked against someone who we now know is a top 5 fighter at 115 pounds. If she wasn't already, I'm sure there's already people who had her in their top 5, Marina Rodriguez. So, yes, again, it speaks more to Marina's skills than it does. Mackenzie definitely has a lot to learn, but I don't think she's regressed. I think this could be, frankly, the best version of her we've seen, just facing a superior fighter.
And I know we all have those fighters where we were on the bandwagon very much earlier than the rest of the world. I don't know whose yours are, but if you go back and look at all of our past posts or preview shows with Marina fighting, I've been waving the Marina Rodriguez flag for a very long time. The way Lemos is now, how we all kind of see her as a future contender, that's how it was after the Tisha Torres fight, solely because if you look at like those string of losses that Tisha had, it was like Rose, like Joanna, Weili, and then like Marina was in there. So she basically lost to 3 champions and then Marina. And I was like, well, if we keep up this pattern, then Marina's going to be a big deal. And then she gave Cynthia Calvillo, who came in overweight, all she could handle. And then I don't think I scored the fight for Carla, but the fact that it was such a close fight, and then when she fought Amanda Hebos, everyone was on the Hebos train at the time because she was like saying she was going to be a champion. She was just being Paige and Mackenzie back to back. Marina is a monster. I don't know if she'll ever become a champion, but she will be perennially in the top 5, I think, until she decides she doesn't want to fight anymore.
Yeah, I'm with you. She's only going to get better, too, so let's slow our rolls a little bit.
Ooh. Couple questions on Tim Elliott.
Do you guys think Tim Elliott won the fight? Clearly lost the third. I had Elliott on my bets. Just curious what you guys thought. I thought Nicolette won the fight. I thought Elliott won the first, and I thought Nicolette won the next.
I saw a lot of tweets saying that a lot of people seem to think Tim Elliott should have won because Nicolette got the takedown at the end, but didn't do anything with it. So maybe Tim Elliott was trying to get up or showing some sort of offense off his back, and Nicolette was trying to just ride it out. So I think people were maybe upset at that. But I saw there's a few comments in our YouTube section about Tim Elliott and like in that fight in general.
I think
I don't think Tim Elliott was trying to do that much from his back in the third round.
I think the fight was super duper close to that point before the takedown. I thought the takedown was like the one that just kind of teetered it over. Like it was a super close fight, super fun to watch. I would have loved to have seen 2 more rounds between those 2 guys. Like, I wish there was, like, a button that, like, one of the judges could push. Like, it's American Idol or, like, America's Got Talent. and it's just like an automatic 2 more rounds. Like we just want to see a 3-round fight, get 2 more rounds. That would have been the one I would want to see.
But they can only use it once a fight.
Once. One card, once a card.
Yep.
That would be the one. That would have been the one to use it on. I think Tim Elliott is so talented, and I think having James Krause in his ear is such a big thing. Sometimes, and I love Tim a lot. He's one of my favorite guys to interview in the sport right now. Tristan Gordat. Yep. He plays around a little too much. He feels himself a little too much. And I dig that about him at times, but I think that was a detriment tonight. I think that's what cost him this fight.
Tim Elliott, live your life. But man, yeah, he was balancing on one leg, flicking out front kicks like he was like Jean-Claude Van Damme. It was wild. I mean, and some of them were landing. So if you're Tim Elliott, you're like, I'm scoring right now. Like we see it as goofing off. We see it as like, oh, well, he's playing around too much. But a lot of those kind of weird techniques were landing, or at least were clearly throwing Nicolette out of his rhythm. Nicolette is a very disciplined, patient fighter, a very smart fighter for a guy his age. And I do think Tim Elliott was throwing him off. And I think this is why people thought it was such a close fight. It might have gone the other way, because there were times when it felt like he was playing to Elliott's game. However, it did seem like he was landing. He was more accurate. It seemed like he was timing his shots well. So I also saw it for Nicolette. But thank you, Ben. Yeah, Ben in the comments saying that Tim wasn't doing much in that third round. Yeah, I didn't think so either. I don't think, unfortunately, this is the performance that's going to. We were saying Nicolette's a little kind of underrated / overlooked. One of those guys in the flyweight division. I don't know if this is the win that's going to change people's minds. This probably keeps him steady, keeps him his spot. I don't know if in the official UFC rankings, not that anyone cares about those, that he was behind Elliott. I know in ours, he was already ranked ahead. I don't know if this moves him. I think we'll have to see what happens with like Kai Car-France and Cody Garbrandt to see where Nicolette ends up moving in the rankings.
So we got 2 questions on opposite ends of the spectrum.
Ooh.
So I'll pull them both up. What's so funny, Mike?
Dueling King Kong questions. I love it. I love this. This is great. One on Team Romanov. Joseph Boza asks if Mr. Romanov is a dangerous threat. 4-0 in the UFC. More of that fresh blood in the heavyweight division is needed. Sam says Romanov is a fraud. First fight against a legit opponent, and Espino is beating him up. He takes a dive for the technical win. By the way, Aljamain Sterling had a tremendous tweet about that, about Romanov and his win and coming back and the performance. So, listen, I'll go first on this one. I've been on the Romanov train since his first fight. I don't care that he beat Rocky Martinez, and I love Rocky Martinez as well, but because just it is who it is. He is a dangerous threat at heavyweight, and you could say what you want about the Espino fight and being in the trenches and whether you thought it was a dive or whatnot. This guy's a problem. This guy is a problem. Jared Vanderaa is a super durable, really tough guy, really good on the ground too. And Romanov just chucked him around like it was nothing. And we thought he was starting to fade. And I think Vanderaa's game plan in this fight was like, I'm just going to let this dude suplex me for the first 5 minutes. I'm just going to let him belly to back suplex me over and over again. Let's get tired. And then Romanov somehow just didn't really slow down all that much and just got better, got him mounted, and just beat him up. It's a dangerous man. I think, like, if you can't take this man to the third round, if you can't get to the third round, you're not. It's going to be a really hard night for you. So, yeah, I think he is a dangerous threat. He's he's 15-0 now?
Something like that.
15-0.
I do want to see the Espino fight again.
I'd like to see him run that one back.
Yeah. I think because Romanov is on that is young enough that a loss wouldn't derail his I guess it's the heavyweight division, so string together a few wins in general, you're going to be in the top 10.
We'll see.
But I think Romanov is young enough that a loss won't be a massive dump. What's this face you got, Mike?
He's going to be 31 in December. Yeah. That's frightening.
He's young enough. So and Espino is closer to 40, so I would like to, because he's not getting younger. His time to surge for the title is now, so I would like to see him run that back. Because he was doing well against. He's the only one that's given Romanov any sort of problem in the grappling department. So I would like to see him run that back. Interesting question that I want to touch on from our friend Ben.
Oh, can I say something about Romanov before we move on? Yeah, I just want to say the only thing this win doesn't do, as impressive as it was, does not move him up that far in the rankings, I think. So the thing he doesn't have that Aspinall and Dacus has is they both have, again, their last 2 wins were against. So Aspinall beat a veteran in Arlovsky and then a fellow kind of young heavyweight guy in Spivak. Dacus beat a veteran in Oleinik and then a guy who before he was taken out of the rankings due to like injury and inactivity, Shamil Abdurakhimov, who was in the top 15 at heavyweight. So they both have these nice 2 wins that clearly put them into the top 15. Romanov does not have that yet. He needs to get like again, Arlovsky, Olenek. I think a Ben Rothwell would be a good one. I have him right behind him in the rankings. Some people might put him above him already, but again, I need to see him beat a veteran before I see him take one of these veteran spots. But but amazing, really fun heavyweight to watch.
Ben, look at James Krause's Instagram post. He just posted it, and I'm reading it as we speak. He says he made one of the biggest coaching errors in his career. That quote, I'm sure, is going to haunt me for some time to come. Going into the 3rd round, I thought for 100% sure we took rounds 1 and 2. Regardless of if that was true or not, I should have pushed him to work up in the 3rd, and I didn't. Win, lose, or draw, I'm so proud of the improvements that Tim has made in the last year. His willingness to learn and be coached is what makes him so incredible. I effing hate losing, but it's part of the game. Regardless, this dude is my dog. We've been through worse losses than this one. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. There's only one Tim Elliott. So, James Krause, I mean, what a guy. What a dude.
One of the best coaches in the game.
Taking responsibility. Yep. Yeah.
He's very aware.
Fought on this card.
He's very aware. He almost fought himself.
That's hilarious.
Glad to hear the coach say that. Yeah.
Yeah. What else we got?
There's a lot of coaching stuff that happened today. Coaching storylines today, wasn't there? What was Chris Gutierrez thanking Mark Montoya for like saving his life?
Yeah.
And then earlier on the card, who was it? Who else was it that like made sure like I got to pull my coach in here. I got to thank my coaches. Loopy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going.
Yeah. This was the coach. A lot of coach, like we saw a lot about the relationships between fighters and coaches today. It was very intense. Again, this was a really nice card just to be able to focus on these sort of things and not have our brains exhausted by 12, 13 fights just beating us into submission. So again, I don't know if it's because the storylines are so prevalent or we're just less exhausted, but I really enjoyed what we saw today.
Axel Adams, do you guys think commentators should keep people's personal and family life situation out of the live broadcast, like mentioning Randy Brown's father's incarceration? So, I mean, there's some you just can't avoid, right? And then there's other ones. I don't think like Anik as well researched and as well prepared as Anik and Felder are. I don't think they're like digging into Wikipedia and like clicking on all the numbers to see all the different stories. I feel like they take a lot from these fighter conversations, these fighter interviews that they have leading into these cards. And I'm sure this is information that Randy offered up himself. And if they're using those interviews, chances are they're going to make the broadcast. And I think the fighters are well aware of that. So I think there's certain situations where, yes, you keep things, on the vest. But I don't know if I have a problem with this one because, especially when you're dealing with guys like Anik and Felder, something tells me that this is something Randy talked about and he's very passionate about, and this must have meant something to him more so heading into this fight than maybe some of his other fights. Your thoughts on that, AK?
Yeah, listen, they have like I said, they do the interviews. They have a lot of notes prepared. It's live commentary. You've got to find ways to sort of fill the air sort of when things aren't happening. So, I mean, during the Brown Gooden fight, it wasn't a slow fight, but like we said before, the injury made it kind of less action-packed than it might have been. So if you're a John Anik, you're kind of like you're watching, you're listening to your partners. If they're not saying something, you're like, okay, well, I got to interject here. I got to add something to this broadcast. So in his notes, clearly he has this story. But it's a little awkward, definitely, to bring it up because they might start talking about it, and then suddenly there's a burst of action, and then there's a scramble of conversation, and they might never come back to the story that they were like talking about, and so it comes off as very awkward. And then people will clip it on Twitter, and it's like, oh, what was John Anik talking about? Why did he bring this up? And I've been critical of it before too. I remember, I think it was Chris Gutierrez.
Yes.
I think in his last fight, him and his opponent both had an issue. Andre Ewell, thank you. An issue with had the custody of their children, and it's a very sad story. And John Anik kind of brought it up almost out of nowhere, and then didn't really get to explain the story properly because some action happened, and then just never came back to it. And again, a lot of us, including myself, were like, "Was that an okay thing to bring up?" But there is, as Mike was saying, kind of an understanding that these guys want to share parts of their stories. And again, it can be hit or miss. I think sometimes, and it's up to the liberty of the commentators. I think sometimes these things should be brought up. I think sometimes they shouldn't. ESPN certainly in general as people know, likes this kind of occasionally tragic backstories. There's a lot of jokes about the NFL draft. When they do the NFL draft, it's almost like tragedy porn.
That's the most egregious.
Right. And I think now that the UFC is on ESPN, I think that these kind of stories and bringing this stuff up during broadcast is encouraged, if not like they're told to do it. But it's definitely encouraged. It's definitely not something ESPN's going to say, oh, why'd you bring that up? They're like, yeah, more of that stuff. Bring that stuff up during a fight. So I don't know. I think some people really like it and appreciate it, but I understand others who are like, I just want to watch the fight and I just want to know surface level things about the fighters and not kind of these, these parts of their background that seem like something like I wouldn't want brought up, but it's different for everyone. So it's a good question.
I've always been on the boat where it's, if the fighter doesn't care, then why do I care? If that makes sense. If the fighter doesn't have a problem with it, then so be it. Because specifically for that one you talked about, AK, with Chris Gutierrez in his last fight against Andre Ewell, I was backstage for that. I was at that card. That was I believe it was the Usman Burns card. And shout out to our colleague, I believe, Gabe. What's Gabe's last name? Gonzalez. Gabe Gonzalez, so, Miami News. He straight up asked Chris Gutierrez, like, do you have a problem with them talking about this? And he said, I don't have a problem with it, because they brought up on, because it was both of them, and he's like, it's part of the story. If my story connects with someone else, then so be it. So, but I remember hearing about it and being backstage. I'm like, that was very bizarre. I don't think we needed that. And then, but then everyone was like, oh, let's just concentrate on the fights. And Gabe asked, and he didn't have a problem. So, if he doesn't have a problem, I don't think anyone should have a problem. Anyway.
Yeah. I've done some pretty heavy interviews in the past with Chris Gutierrez. Talking about that. They're very easy to find. And yeah, it was just, I think like the first one I did about the subject, I mean, it was heavy. It was about as heavy as it can get. He opened up. It was like when the wound was very fresh and he just opened up. And I mean, this story about Chris and everything he's going through, it's been out there for a while, like 3 or 4 years. He's done constant interviews about it. So it's not news. So I feel like the commentators weren't like just digging deep for that one. The personal/family life is cringe coming from the commentators. Let that be for the UFC/ESPN promos. Fighters could have a say in how it's presented.
Well, that's what we're saying, though.
Yeah,
exactly. They kind of do have a say.
Because I think also the big knock on like the Contender Series, every time like the Contender Series restarts, they show like all the promos of the upcoming fights, and they're all the same goddamn promo. Like, I fight because I want to be the best, or I fight to give my family a better life, or like I fight because I had this. I'm like, dude, you could just copy and paste this with any person. And maybe it's because they're all newcomers, so they're afraid to say the wrong thing, and they say what they're expected to say. Maybe that's the answer. But I remember tweeting like, I want to change it up. Like, say something just absurd, like I fight because I want to fund my brother's passion of opening up a barbershop, like something. I fight because my little kid wants to go to clown school, and clown school is expensive, or like something weird like that, man.
You don't. It's not about being the best every single time. It just isn't. There's other like
Derek Lewis. I like Derek Lewis's answer. Straight up is like, I'll punch anyone for money. Like, just say that. Why do you want to be a UFC fighter? I don't know, because I dropped out of college and they pay me to punch people. Like, just say that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I would believe you. Bufo on the beat. When was the last time we've seen as much blood as we did in the Jackson versus Rosa fight? I thought it was going to get stopped. Props to the doc for letting it go. That doctor rules, by the way.
Great doctor.
Our
let him bleed.
Martin comes back. Our colleague Dame Martin comes back and gets in the win column. Good on him.
Thank you.
That was a great fight, man. Martin. Great fight. And the Charles Rosa win-loss track just continues on. It's unbelievable how he just it's 1-1 every single time.
Our first 2 fights were super bloody, right? Wasn't the Garcia on Tavares fight pretty bloody as well?
That was bloody too.
That's right. Hey, look, the sponsor, that video game sponsor, Back for Blood, you better send some extra money these guys' way, because I
thought it was Back Blood 4.
No, it is Back for Blood, not Back Blood number 4. There's not a franchise called Back Blood. It's not the 4th game in that series. No, it's Back for Blood. I thought it looked so cool, like having that, like the ad itself was there and was just covered like by actual human blood. So please, I know none of these guys got a bonus, right?
No.
All right, so let's send these guys some extra cash, please. Jackson, Rosa, Garcia, and Tavares, please. Let's help these guys out. They really helped advertise that game.
All right. A lot of comments on Romanov since we had that conversation. So a lot of them have been about the Espino fight. So I'm just gonna toss a few up there.
I think we talked about this on, because remember after it was before they booked the Espino fight, AK, a lot of listeners were like, we want to see Romanov versus Espino.
Yeah.
And I hated that. I hated it. I hated it so much.
This is true.
And
this is true.
Almost for the reason that we're talking about right now. Like, this makes no sense. There's so many heavyweights that need fights, and there's like such an opening for heavyweight stars that you could push both of these guys, and they can meet like 2 years from now when they're top 10 or top 15 or top 7. Why throw them in there now? It made no sense. And now we have a disaster on our hands. Unless you want to run this thing back right now. Like, I would love to see them run this thing back ASAP, because like Jose said, you got nothing else for them. Just throw them in there and like, let's see what will really happen. Like, just do it. So, yeah. What aspect of Marina Rodriguez's game would you like to see her work on before she challenges the top 3? This is a pretty good question. Jose, you were the one that picked Marina to win this fight. Coming out of those 25 minutes, if there's something about Marina's game you would like to see her improve, what would that be?
Probably takedown defense or offense off her back, one of those two. Either she goes to the school of Donald Cerrone and Carlos Condit, where her best wrestling defense is her offense off her back, if that makes sense. Like, they were so good off their back with elbows and triangles and arm bars that people were maybe hesitant to even take them down, because just because you got them on their back doesn't mean you were out of trouble, a la like Donald Cerrone versus like Mike Perry, like one of those kind of situations. Or she just needs to learn how to keep the fight standing. She did a good job against Mackenzie Dern in the later rounds, but I think Mackenzie may have just gotten tired, and she's also been getting punched in the face a lot. So I just think she needs some sort of defensive grappling, whether it be wrestling or offense off her back or something, because she's obviously light years ahead of almost everyone at strawweight striking. Her grappling, her defensive grappling, or offensive grappling, I should say, just needs to catch up. But I think that's just the obvious answer.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think off her back, given her like long limbs, she could be really like a real pain in the ass to deal with on her back. She gets that offense going. But I also think that would be number one. I also think maybe even the ability to mix in her own takedowns, like just to change the tempo of the fight a little bit, because again, physically she's got some great physical tools, and if she could have, the other way to avoid having to fight from the bottom is be on top. And so if she could mix in the occasional takedown, especially just dealing with these 3 specific names, Namajunas definitely the deadliest on the ground of the 3. But I think if she could get on top of a Zhang or a Joanna, or even Rose, even being in top position on a Rose would probably be helpful. So her bread and butter should be her striking. Don't go away with that. But if you can add in a little bit of wrestling offense, it really helps you to win a 5-round fight. And again, she's got 2 of those in the bag now, so she doesn't need advice from us. But again, if we're talking about just one more level up, yeah, I'd like to see. We both said grappling offense, but I think also takedowns.
Get stronger is my advice. I thought she looked pretty strong in this fight.
I mean,
I did. I thought she looked pretty strong. There's not. I mean, obviously, defensive grappling is something she would want to work on, but she was off of her back, mounted, for 4.5 minutes against Mackenzie Dern, and did not get submitted.
It reminded me of the Tim Kennedy Hodger Gracie fight. When you get Hodger Gracie on your back, 9 times out of 10, that's a wrap. And Tim Kennedy survived and ended up winning.
Yeah, I mean, that's impressive. I think, to me, like, when you talk about those 3 names, especially Rose, when she goes at, like, she went in for some of those exchanges and tried to charge forward. She leaves her head up. She leaves her chin up there a little bit from time to time. She gets a little lazy, a little sloppy. She's very effective because she lands stuff at such different angles. She makes people guess, but sometimes when she darts in and tries to be the aggressor, she makes some mistakes. If you're up against a striker like Rose, who can throw that quick kick up top, or Joanna, who can counter really well, or Zhang Weili, who just has like extreme power, only needs 1 or 2 shots to really put the lights out, you got to probably shore that part of the game up. But overall, I mean, no issue really with the grappling. I mean, that was my one thing. I was like, Mackenzie gets her to the ground, this fight's going to be over a minute later. And she survived over 4 minutes with her on the ground in some pretty hairy situations.
there were a few fights on this card that proved me wrong.
Yeah, but she also blocked an attitude adjusted attempts in the first round. Mackenzie got in there deep, and I thought she was gonna pick her up with the John Cena attitude adjustment, and great blocked it. She blocked it, hit her with the elbows, and then should have hit her with the Brock Lesnar German suplex. But again, we've talked about this. That next time, she'll throw that out there.
All right, anything else?
All right.
I only caught the main event in a random prelim fight. Any standouts? Maria Agapova is the biggest standout.
If you're gonna watch one fight off the prelims, watch that one.
Yeah, that fight was awesome.
Well, Agapova was on the main card.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah,
the undercard you meant.
Yes.
Any undercard, anything besides. Okay, yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Take one more. One more. The best.
We're gonna take two more because
two more.
One of them is.
Well, why do wear?
Our pal.
I would if I was him.
We're gonna take two more because this individual has asked this question 3 times and it's specifically for Mike.
Hold on, our pal Jessica Crystal Crew tweeted out earlier that Wilder's going to come out in the Jake Paul robot suit. That's going to be his.
Wilder's wearing 60 pounds of armor tonight, no doubt about it. Keep getting those things listed that could be to your detriment in this fight when you probably will lose. Shiny your head. I don't know. Depends on the day. Today, Dana's head's way shinier. I let mine grow a little too much.
Dana's head gets very red too. Anyway.
Yeah, Dana's got the shine.
We're gonna close on
Tuesday.
We're gonna close on this.
Gosh, this is a Jose question.
Top 3 scariest Halloween movies, and did any of them give you nightmares?
I love.
If you want to say Halloween, like, are you talking like specifically Halloween or just horror movies in general?
Yeah.
I'm in a group chat with Just Crystal Crew and our good friend New York Rick and we just trade horror movies.
Give us a good 3. Give us
just specifically Halloween or just horror movies in general.
Horror.
The scariest movie I've ever seen in my entire life is The Descent. I've seen it once and I'll never see it again.
Cousin loves
That's a good one.
That is an absolutely petrifying movie. I'm a big found footage film. Grave Encounters I think is the best found footage outside of the Blair Witch Project. And then I don't know. Friday the 13th 1 is really good. I'm a big Exorcist fan too.
Yeah,
like
that was ahead of its time. The original Halloween was ahead of its time.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited for Halloween Kills on Friday.
Yeah.
Very excited.
All right.
I'm on that whole Ari Aster kick. I like those really slow new horror movies that I know some people hate. But I liked Hereditary. I liked Midsommar. Yeah. I'm a fan of those. So again, not traditional like spooky scare stuff. But I definitely enjoy those. I'm a Scream guy. I'm a Scream guy too. I love the Scream franchise, even though it's clearly like the first one's great, and then everyone after is like.
Big fan of Us and Get Out as well.
Yeah. And I really liked It Follows. If anyone has not seen It Follows, I love It Follows.
I've never seen any of the new
movies.
Very
charming film.
I'm very excited
Conjuring? I thought The Conjuring was pretty well.
I can't get into those.
Conjuring takes place in Rhode Island. The house is for sale. You know what? Movie I'm very excited for? Lamb.
Yeah, that looks cool.
Oh. I read some of the reviews. It's like the new A24 movie coming out. I read some of the reviews, and like during whatever like film festival it premiered at, like people had to leave because they were like so scared or like grossed out.
Oh boy!
So I'm very hyped for that, and it's also A24, so it's going to be bananas. Anyway,
we'll have plenty of Halloween talk coming up. I mean, we're 2 weeks away.
I want to end one more question. One more. We're going to end on a fight question because this one is an interesting one.
Who will win a UFC championship? Wow, this is a great question. Anonymous dude, 1, 2, 3.
That's so good.
Who will win a UFC championship first? Carla Esparza, Islam Makhachev, or Rob Font? Wow. That's a great question.
For our podcast listeners, we're just thinking, by the way. We're having a moment. Give us a moment of silent reflection.
I will say
you should be doing the same.
I think it's Islam.
I think it's Islam too, and it's the main reason why I think it's Islam is because I think he will fight for a title before any of the other two will.
I think Carla will fight the winner of Weili Rose, and I think the winner of Weili Rose beats her. So I think Carla gets the first shot. I think Rob Font, like we said, I think the problem with Rob Font is there's like a huge queue in front of him, and there's so many injuries in front of him that I think just timing.
Yeah, that's
is going to be his biggest enemy. Like, especially if TJ comes back and fights for the title, and then, like, who knows if Aljamain comes back. So I'm going to say Islam gets the belt, and I think in a world where all three get the title, Islam has the longest reign.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I'm just going to say who I'm going to Carla. I'm going to say it, Carla. She gets the Rose. Rose beats Zhang Weili. Rematch. Carla wins again.
I love the fact that Zhang Weili is at fight ready.
Also, I think that Cobra makes a good point. Carla's already been a UFC champion.
Oh, thank you, Cobra. That's correct. She was the first. So who will be the next to win a UFC?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how.
That was a trick question. Thank you, Cobra. We got fooled.
Anyway.
UFC is pushing for Islam, but again, like I think like Islam beating Dan Hooker is gonna be a nice win, no doubt about it. That's a good win to have on the resume. I don't know if it like immediately puts you into a title fight though. He's gonna have to get one more win, and who the hell in the top 5 is gonna want to fight Islam?
Islam's gonna beat Dan Hooker, and then he's gonna fight Tony Ferguson and beat Tony Ferguson, and then he'll probably fight Beneil Dariush, and then or get the title shot, because Beneil Dariush has done enough to get the title to get at least a number 1 contender fight. He just had his first kid. I don't know if it's a daughter or a son, so apologies to the Dariush family. So he said he wanted to come back probably early 2021 anyway. So, but anyway, lightweight rules.
Dariush, yeah.
I think Islam is the man, and he has the Habib factor. Like if they keep going back to Abu Dhabi, or if they hold another event in Russia anytime soon, because Bellator is going to Russia. Why can't the UFC go to Russia in the future? That happens. Why would you not want Islam at least fighting in a number 1 contender fight?
Mm-hmm.
I agree. And who knows if Dustin Poirier beats Charles Oliveira? Who knows?
Don't even say it. Don't even.
Doors are wide open. No, listen. Doors are wide open.
I thought you were about to say.
He can fight anybody he wants. He can literally fight anybody he wants. He can go fight Conor. He can go fight Nate. He can go fight anybody he wants. He doesn't even have to fight at 55.
Nate's not fighting for Dustin Poirier for the title anytime soon.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying Dustin will just be like, screw it. I'm going to go up to 170 and fight Nate for $2 million. I don't think more. Way more.
I don't think they do that.
Why wouldn't they?
Because Nate Diaz has 1 fight left on his contract, and they want it to be the Conor fight.
They're going to wait that long, though?
Yeah. Nate Diaz has been on longer.
That's true.
I'm also been on the train that Nate Diaz wants to fight Vicente Luque, wrap it up, and then go fight Conor outside the UFC and make a ton of money.
It's possible as well. This is conversations that just kind of spur off of an event. You never know. And that's the beauty of a 9-fight card. We have all the time in the world. It's only 808.
Islam has to fight Dan Hooker. Have fun with that. That's a tough fight.
Oh, that's true.
That's a very tough fight.
Rob
Font has to fight freaking Jose Aldo. Have fun with that, man. Like all those fights, I favor Islam and Rob, but those fights, like you're gonna get hurt.
Carla. That's why I picked Carla. She's getting a title fight soon, and she's gonna win.
All right.
If Zhang wins though, then she ain't getting a title fight soon.
All right. Anyway, we'll close it out. Now people are just talking about who's gonna get the shot.
That's a great question. Maybe we'll answer that on BTL. That'll be like the final question. We'll just throw out random names on who will get a title first. So, all right, we're out of here. We have more
guys.
Sports ahead. So keep it locked. MMAfighting.com. We have all your coverage, results, anything you can find in regards to Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder 3. That fight is going down in a few hours, but the card is going on now, at least the prelims, so you can follow along with the results and all that good stuff over at MMAfighting.com. But until then, Jose Youngs for Alex K. Lee, a.k.a. my best friend. I'll see you tomorrow morning. We'll talk matchmaking with on to the next one. I am Mike Keck. Enjoy the rest of the night, everybody.